Okay, today what we'll do, we have studied about single phase and your three phase rectifiers. So today we'll continue with that discussion only, but with a next advanced level, that is when my source is having some inductance in it. Means we are considering practical sources over here. So what will be the effect of that source inductance on the output? We have to observe. So over here, I have given you a brief introduction about what we are going to take, that the source inductance or the source is purely taken to have inductive element in it. So source inductance is purely inductive and the load inductance is assumed to be large so that the output is constant. So you know how your output will look like. It will be a straight line. I naught will be DC straight line. What will happen because of this source inductance is that the incoming and the outgoing thyristor, what does it mean? That means the thyristors which are going to the on state are incoming and those who are going to off state are said to be outgoing. Okay, so those incoming and outgoing thyristors conduct at the same time. So if all the thyristors conduct at the same time, then it will create a short circuit of the source. So at that time voltage will be zero, and that period during which this process occurs is known as the overlap period. Why overlap? Because all the thyristors are conducting over at the same time. If you consider a full converter, if you consider this full converter, two thyristor will conduct at the same one time, another thyristors, this pair of thyristor will conduct at another time interval. So if all these thyristors conduct at the same time, so that means overlapping one another. This pair of thyristor is overlapping in the period of T3 T4. So that's why that period is known as the overlap period. Okay, and that angle during which this occurs, okay, that is known as the overlap period, and the angle is known as overlap angle mu. So we get to know about three angles. One is alpha, which is your firing angle. One is your beta, which is your extinguishing angle, means that comes because of your RL load. And another one is, the next one is your mu, okay, which is the overlap angle, which comes only in case if you are giving attaching a source inductance. Okay, when explanation is given with source inductance, then only it is come. Otherwise, normally it doesn't come. And what are these effects actually? What will we are having the same converter, right? Same converter we are having. We are having a source inductance over here. It will be an inductor over here. Okay, don't worry. LS is written, so it will be an inductor. So what will be that effect? Actually, what is the effect is the output voltage is being lowered. Why it is lowered? You can understand, because at the output, okay, what will be output? V naught is equal to ES, we write down, right? Or VS, whatever we want to write down. But there is a inductive element over here. So there will be a drop across this inductive element. So basically, your if you apply KVL, what you will get, ES is equal to some drop across this LS plus your V naught. Previously, what was happening? ES was equal to E naught or V naught. So it was becoming equal, but now this drop plus this drop adds up to be ES. So if you calculate your V naught, it will be ES minus this drop. So actually the drop across this means the load voltage reduces. So that's the first point. It distorts the output voltage and current waveforms. As I told you, some point the voltage will be zero. So it will, what does zero voltage or zero current indicates? That means it goes into discontinuous nature. So that's why it is said that distorts the output voltage and current waveform. And if your output voltage and current waveform changes, your average RMS, everything will change. So it will modify the performance parameters. I have one lecture, I told you what are the performance parameters, the TUF, FF, then displacement factor. All these are dependent upon your average and RMS value. So if those values only changes, then all the performance parameter will change. So that is, these are the three most important effects of your source inductance. Okay. So now what we'll do is carry on with our discussion with this. Now what is happening over here is that we are having the same waveform over here, no problem with it. But because of the source inductance, there is an overlap period over here. Okay, during this overlap period, all the four thyristors will conduct. As you can see, if all the four thyristors will conduct, if this conducts, this is short circuit, this point is short circuit, so the source will be short circuited. So what will be the voltage over here? 0. So V0 will also be 0. So that's why during this portion, your V0 is 0. Now, from here, you know all this operation. From here, which thyristors will conduct positive half cycle? These two, T1, T2. In a negative half cycle, which will conduct? T3, T4. I'm not going to explain it again. You know all this. So T1, T2 starts conducting from here. Inductive load goes to discharge over here. T3, T4 starts conduction over here. Goes because of the inductive load, it will discharge. It goes up to this. And at the point when all the thyristors are on during the transition period, or what we call specifically as the overlap period, my voltage is 0. This period is 0. So this angle which is given over here is mu. The first angle over here is alpha, and actually firing angle what it is becoming is alpha plus mu. So at this point where my thyristor starts conducting is actually not alpha but alpha plus mu because of the overlap period. Now what is happening during this period? You can think it like this way also, that suppose I consider this period, okay, during this period, this negative part comes before T1, T2, which conducts T3, T4. So these two are conducting. So if these two are conducting, okay, so current will flow, this IT3 will flow, right? The current coming out of this T3. So IT3 will flow. So IT3 will be high. So IT3 is high. And IT complete circuit is a series circuit. So IT3 will nothing but be equal to your ID, and we had already taken a consideration over here that load inductance is assumed to be large so that the output current is virtually constant. So if ID is constant, so IT3 will also be constant. So that's why we are getting a straight line over here. Now, during this period when T3 and T4 is conducting, T1, T2 is not conducting. So obviously what will be the value of T1? IT1 is 0. So IT1 is 0 over here. Now next, in the next period, so after alpha plus mu, from this period, which thyristor starts conducting? T1, T2, right? T1, T2. So if T1, T2 starts conducting, which current will flow? IT1. So IT3 at that time will become 0. So IT3, which was high at this point, slowly decreases to this point over here and becomes 0. And IT1, which was 0, increases to the maximum value that is equal to ID and becomes constant until and unless your T1 gets turned off, which is at this point. So at this point it gets turned off, so it takes some finite time to reach to 0, so it decreases. And then again this one increases, this one decreases. So now you can think it like this way. If you consider this period over here, you can say that both currents IT3 and IT1 are flowing. So if IT3 and IT1 are flowing, if IT3 and IT1 are flowing, what is happening? That means IT1 flows because of which thyristor? T1 and T2. IT3 flows because of which thyristor? T3 and T4. So we can say that all the thyristors are being turned on. So if all the thyristors are turned on, the source will be short circuited and load voltage will be 0. So you can give an explanation like this also. So during this period, the overlap period, what is happening? Because all the currents are flowing, so we can say all the thyristors are on. Hence, during this period, it will short circuit the source and make the load voltage as 0. So that's why this voltage is 0. Now, what is the main thing over here? We need to calculate how much our mean output voltage, that is our average voltage, is reduced. We know that if I take a RL load, you refer to the previous lectures and see that we have studied RL load, full converter RL load. This is full converter only, full control bridge converter, not semi converter. Full control converter requires 4 thyristors, so 4 thyristors are over here. So what is happening? We are using full control bridge rectifier and using source inductance over here, but compared to that full control bridge rectifier, your average output voltage is reduced. So if you look into the previous lectures, you may find that the average output voltage of a full converter is 2 Vm by pi cos alpha for a RL load. Now, if this value will reduce by some factor, so minus some factor, say x. So we need to calculate that factor x now, because that is very important. This time in GATE also, last year in GATE, they have given a question with this effect of source impedance. So you have to use this formula 2 Vm by pi cos alpha minus x. What is that x? We will determine. So now we have to go into the calculation part. So next slides are all calculations. So in your exam, how your question will come? I'll just tell you that explain the single phase fully controlled bridge rectifier showing that, means with source inductance, showing that the output voltage is reduced. Or if I ask you explain the fully controlled bridge converter with source inductance, then you have to draw this, and do this solving. Okay, so you up to this you have to show your solving. All these things you have to do it. So please be very careful with this, how the calculations are done. So in order to do the calculation, we can draw equivalent circuit. This equivalent circuit you had already seen previously. How we were doing? Because of one voltage T1, T2 was being on, because of one voltage T3, T4 was being on. According to the diagram, if you go, one voltage is E1, one voltage is E2. I had also used VAB, VBA. Because of this diagram, my explanation is according to the diagram. Okay. So you can use your own methods on terms and write the KCL equation, doesn't matter. Okay. So what we have done, T1, T2 is on because of E1, and there is the inclusion of this LS. Please be careful. In previous lectures, we did not include LS because there was no source inductance. But now this circuit is ES, LS, T1, RL, T2 back to this. So now we have to include that LS. Similarly goes for here, and applying KVL during this in the loop. We always apply in this loop OPQRO. Okay, so what we'll do, we are applying during the overlap angle mu. Okay, so main study is during the overlap angle mu. What is happening? What is the drop that is occurring across this? So main study is during this overlap angle. So all thyristors are on. So if all thyristors are on, drop across the thyristors will be 0. So no need to include VT1 to VT4. So I have not included this. And these two branches are parallel, right? These two branches are parallel. This branch and this branch are parallel. So obviously voltage will be same. So can I write E1 minus the drop across this LS is equal to E2 minus the drop across this LS? Yes, obviously we can write. So that's why I have written LS E1 minus LS DIT1 is equal to E2 minus LS DIT3 dt by dt. LDI by dt is your voltage across your inductor. And next thing is that what current is flowing through this LS is IT3. What current is flowing through this LS is IT1. So that's why it is written over here IT1, IT3. Then we will bring one on the other side, E2 brought on the other side, this LS brought on this side. So you take LS common, you will get DIT1 by dt minus DI3 by dt. And E1 minus E2. What is E1 and E2? They are mutually opposite to one another. This is E1, this is E2. So if E1 is Vm sin omega t, E2 is minus Vm sin omega t. So you can write down Vm sin omega t minus of minus Vm sin omega t. That gives you 2 Vm sin omega t equal to this. Okay, I hope so you are understanding it. So this is my equation 1. Next, if I apply KCL in the circuit, see, if I apply KCL in the circuit, there is one common node, right? Because all these things are parallel. So one common node you can consider is this one, whichever you want. So this is incoming, this is incoming, this is outgoing. So can I write ID is equal to IT3 plus IT1? Yes. So that's why I've written, after applying KCL, IT1 plus IT3 is equal to IT. Now, if you differentiate it, now what is ID? Previously, I had shown you that ID was taken to be constant because load current is assumed to be constant over here. So if you differentiate a constant term, so you will get 0. So ID differentiation will give you 0. And di2 1 dit3 by plus d by dt is equal to 0. See, your I3 is not constant, it is variable, changing over here. Then again 0, then again changing, then constant, then 0. So you can't take IT3 and IT2, IT1 as constant. They are continuously changing with respect to time. But ID is constant, we had already assumed it. Why we had already assumed it? Because to make the calculations easy. Okay. If you take a fluctuating waveform, it will be very hard to determine the values. You have to determine values at each and every point because it will have instantaneous values. So using constant value, it is easier to calculate. That's why analysis should be done considering like this. Okay. Now, you have this equation 1, you have this equation 2. So can you solve it simultaneous equation? I am leaving it up to you. You have di1 by minus this one is equal to 2 Vm by Ls sin omega t. Add this to dt3 by d2 cuts out, you get 2 dt dit1 by dt. This 2 cancels out and you will get this one. So using 1 and 2 by simultaneous equation or adding 1 and 2, you will get this equation. So you just try it on your own. I am leaving this up to you. Okay. So add this, you will get this one equation. Now what we will do is try to find out this current. What is this current? Now, if I want to find out the current, I have my equation this one, and then I have to put my limits. For which I am putting limit IT1. Now be careful of its limit. So now what we'll do is, can I write like this dit1? The dit1 is equal to, I'm not writing the equation over here, I'm bringing dt this on the other side. See, dt brought on the other side. So if I am putting the limits of the integration, so which limit I should put of t? Okay, so I should put the limit of t over here, maybe 0 to something, whatever it is. Okay, not omega t. Please be careful of that. But my axis over here is omega t. So from omega t is equal to something, suppose alpha, I can easily find out what is t, that is alpha by omega, and substitute it as a limit. So be careful over here because the integration is with respect to dt. Okay, so you have to put the limits of the integration with t. So now what we are doing is putting the integration limit. Okay, how is this coming? I'll explain it. Now take dit1. All this analysis is done during which period? During the angle mu period. So during this angle mu period, what is happening to IT1? So IT1 was 0 initially and increasing up to a maximum value, that is ID, or I1, I2, whatever you want to take, you can take. Okay. So 0 to I0 I have taken. You can take it as ID also because in the diagram I had shown over here ID, but you can show I0 also because it is better to show I0 because it represents your output current. Doesn't matter, whatever you want to show, you can show. Okay, I'm not going with the symbol logics and all. So basically what is happening over here, the I1 is increasing to your ID or I0 and I3 is becoming 0. So my lower limit of I1, since IT1 is 0 and the upper limit is I0. Now what about the lower limit of T? Now you go to this figure. Now at this point, what is happening? At this point, what is my value? This point is alpha, right? So can I write at omega t is equal to alpha, or I0 is equal to I0 I am writing, I0 is equal to 0. You can write ID, whatever you want to write. ID or I0 is equal to 0 at omega t equal to alpha, the starting point. So because my integration is with respect to t, what I will do is calculate my t, that will give me alpha by omega. Now what is my end point over here? This point. What is this point? This gap is alpha. This small gap is mu. So can I say that I naught is equal to, sorry, this is not ID, IT1. This is IT1. Sorry. IT1. Now I naught is equal to your, at this point I naught is equal to your sorry, IT1 is equal to your I naught, at which point omega t is equal to alpha plus mu. At this point, see, corresponding to this point, what is this? Alpha plus mu. So you can calculate it t, that is alpha plus mu by omega. So according to that you can put your limits. So you see how I have done the calculation over here. Okay, the same thing which I told you, put the limits accordingly, do the integration, you will get it. See, I have written I naught is equal to ID just to prevent your confusion. What is I naught? Because in the diagram I've used ID, both are same. So you will get this equation over here. This is for your I naught. Okay. Now if you calculate your V naught average, I already have my V naught curve over here, or my EDC curve, which is not nothing but my V naught. This is nothing but my V naught. Okay. So this curve starts from this point, right? That is alpha plus mu, ends at this point, that is pi plus alpha. So I think it should be alpha plus mu to pi plus alpha integration. Yes, correct. I have told alpha plus mu to pi plus alpha. What you are integrating? Vm sin omega t. And all you obviously for your full bridge converter, your time period is pi, so pi is given. Do the integration, you will get equation number 5. Integration, I am leaving it up to you. I am just explaining you how you are putting the limits. Okay, you already know, because I told you to remember, in average value always you will get the integration of sine omega t. In RMS value always you will get the integration of sine square omega t. So sine omega t is equal to minus cos omega t. Sine square omega t is equal to 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. It should be in your mind always, because everywhere you are getting this sine wave in single phase, three phase, whatever you are seeing that we have to integrate either sine omega t or sine square omega t. So very important, please practice all these integrations over here. Okay, so I have shown all this over here, putting the limits. I've directly given the value. Please try to do the steps and check whether my values are same or not. Okay, if there is any error, you can tell me, or you can correct on your own. Okay, because I have done some many typings over here, so there may be some typing mistakes. And refer your book, cross check with your books also, with the formulas. Okay, there may be typing mistakes, and check with your own calculations whether same values are coming or not. So that is up to you. I'm leaving it up to you. I am providing you the explanation part. Now, what is happening over here? So we are getting our voltage over here. Now actual V naught average is nothing but 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, which we have discussed already. Today also I have told you actual no load value or actual voltage average value is 2 Vm by pi cos alpha without your source inductance. Okay. So next what we'll do. So from equation 4, you can calculate your cos alpha plus mu. So you can calculate your cos alpha plus mu by bringing this term on this side. Okay, in some books they have done by calculating cos alpha also. You can do either of the things. Both will give, one will give you formula with respect to mu, one will give you formula with respect to alpha. So whichever we want to calculate, you can do it. I have shown you one thing only. I have substituted cos alpha plus mu. So if you do cos alpha plus mu, you will get this equation. And after getting cos alpha plus mu, can you substitute it over here? Yes, I'll substitute it over here and try to find out the V naught average equation in terms of this 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, so that I can easily say that actually my voltage would have been 2 Vm by pi cos alpha without source inductance, but with source inductance, it would have been this one. So that is my aim. So I have substituted this over here, done some calculation and calculated this value. Okay. So what is my value? You are seeing the actual value minus the drop across Ls. And omega can be written as 2 pi f. That pi cancels out and gives you this one. So this is what I was saying at the first. The mean output voltage is lowered by some value called as X. What is that X value? We have determined. That is omega Ls by pi I naught. So very important calculation which can be given for derivation in semester examination, and in GATE you will be given problems with this final equation. Please be very careful. Voltage regulation in during means due to source inductance. You know how to calculate voltage regulation. You have done in transformer. You can do it. E2 minus V2 by E2. No load minus full load by no load. So no load is how much? 2 Vm. 1 second. Okay, no load is how much? 2 Vm by pi cos alpha. 2 Vm by pi cos alpha minus your full load is this one. Oh, sorry, this will be what I have done to make it positive, right? 2 Vm by cos alpha minus this one minus that term. So that will give you this term omega Ls by pi I naught by voltage V naught average at no load. You can do the opposite also. This minus this by that. I have used the other one, means putting this value minus the actual value by at no load. So you can use this formula over here. And also you can calculate some values like inductive voltage regulation when you are using a diode rectifier. So what happens with diode rectifier is your alpha becomes 0, right? Because in diode you don't have to give any firing. So if your alpha becomes 0, that times my equation gets modified from 4 into this one and put your alpha 0 over here. So that gives you cos alpha minus cos mu, that is 1 minus cos mu. So that's why this 1 minus cos mu is coming over here. So you can put over here the values and do it on your own according to this calculation as shown over here. Please try it. Okay. Put alpha is equal to 0 because of diode rectifier using in the same calculation. Now something I have shown over here that actually the total circuit, this equation is V naught average, what we have derived over here can be represented as a circuit itself. What is that circuit? Actually, the circuit is looking like this. We have an average voltage 2 Vm by cos alpha minus the drop, that is omega Ls by pi into I naught, is equal to your V naught. Right? So that was your equation which you have got over here. So 2 Vm by pi cos alpha minus 2 omega Ls by pi I naught minus V naught average is equal to 0. So if you draw it in terms of a circuit, it will look like this. Why is the diode given over here? Because there is always a means to what I will say means diode always indicates unidirectional current flow. So always my current flow or my power flow will be from 2 Vm by cos alpha to this V naught. So that's why this diode is given. And for these values, mu naught 0, I naught is 0, what will be the value I have done? And then as you slowly increase your mu to pi, substitute it over here, you will get V naught is equal to 0. Then calculate your I naught. So you will get a straight line like this. Okay. So whose slope is omega Ls by pi. That slope, omega Ls by pi, which is coming from this factor, omega Ls by pi I. So you can do this and try to find out this V naught versus I naught curve and why this circuit is represented, because it comes from the equation this one. See this equation, I have represented this KVL equation represented in terms of circuit. Now going into three phase, we'll do a short uh, go through this three phase. In the three phase also, we can have the effect of source inductance. So over here we had calculated our average value. So from that average value, some factor will be reduced. So what was the rate? What is the reduction in that factor? So you see the current is considered constant over here. Constant. Then when all the thyristors are on, when three thyristors are on, it decreases to zero, this current. When the other thyristors are going from on to off state, the other current increases. So same process, we are drawing the same current over here. But now over here, when two currents are on, if you do all the requisite triggering angle pulse and do all this, you can draw this IG. I have shown you how to draw this. You can draw all these things and find out that when your currents are constant, okay, when your currents are constant over here, two thyristors are on, and when there is an overlap period, there are three thyristors on. Okay. So you have to draw the triggering pulses, and from here you can determine. Like this over here, you see T5 and T6 is on. So T5 and T6, 5 and 6 is on. During the overlap period, 5, 1 as well as 6 is on. So 5, 6 and 1 is on. Again during this period, 1 and 6 is on. 1 and 6 is on. Again during the overlap period, 2, 6 and 1 is on. So like this it continues. So some points I have given over here, you can go through it. Some waveform is drawn in figure 3. This waveform is given. The overlap period is taken. The thyristors are taken conduction. Okay. So as T1 is triggered, current through T5 starts decaying while the current through T1 builds up. All these points are written over here. Conduction period of the thyristors are first two thyristors, then three, then two, then again three, then two thyristors, then three. All this depends upon your IG. So you have to know how to draw your IG, and then you can draw these things. So all these are some of the points which will assist you in understanding this. Our main aim is to understand the calculation. Okay. Only understand the calculation, how it is coming, because ultimately the last formula will be used for solving problems. So what we are doing, we always study during the overlap period. So we are studying during the overlap period. So what will be the drop across that voltage? What will be the drop across the inductance? So it will be 3 by pi because it is three phase. So 3 by pi integration 0 to mu, because our overlap period is from 0 to mu. I'm considering only overlap period, so only mu period. What I'm integrating is VL, the voltage across the inductor. So voltage across the inductor is Ls di by dt. Okay. So you can break up this integration. It is d omega t, so you can take omega into di by dt into dt and do the integration and find out that it comes out to be 3 omega Ls by pi I naught. Now what is the average value of this V naught average, actually, which we had calculated in the last lecture, was 3 VML by pi cos alpha. So if I subtract the drop, this one over here, then I can calculate it, say this is the actual output voltage. See, this is a very easy method over here. Previously we had done so much circuit, we made some calculations and done it, but over here we have very easy method is shown. Directly drop across the inductor is calculated, and from the actual value it is subtracted. So that gives me my overlap voltage, means output voltage with overlap. Without overlap is this one, with no overlap is this one, with overlap is the actual voltage minus the drop. Now if you are taking a P pulse converter, you know that we are always having a 6 pulse converter. This is a 6 pulse converter. Okay, we have studied all 6 pulse converter. If you refer to book, you can even see 3 pulse converter also. So if you are having a P pulse converter, so I'm generalizing the equations. Okay, so instead of 3, what I should write P part 2 pi cycles, so P by 2 pi. Do the integration, you will get this value. Okay, so if you get this value, what will be the change in this V naught average? Instead of 3, we can write P. Okay, so this 3 can be replaced by your P. So that's why this is written, V naught average is written in terms of P minus the value calculator over here, P by 2 pi omega Ls I naught. P by 2 pi omega Ls I naught. So this is a general form. Okay, for a 2 pulse converter, which we had studied, just your full converter, 2 pulse converter. So you see what will be a V naught average, put P equal to 2 to calculate the value. So you will get 2 Vm by pi cos alpha minus omega ls I naught by pi. Okay. So you just check what we have got over here. See, V naught average is equal to 2 Vm by pi cos alpha minus 2 FLS or I naught. Okay, it's written in terms of S. Let's see in terms of omega. See, minus omega ls I naught by pi. So this was our actual equation. Check this what we have got. Same equation. So this is basically the generalized form. If you remember this equation, you can solve for any problem. So very important equation is this one, which I have written for you. This one. Okay. Be clear with this equation and you can do it. So 3 pulse, put the equation. 6 pulse, put the equation, get it. Okay. So you can get all these equations. And next you can calculate the voltage regulation. So you can do it on your own. So I'm leaving it this up to you. Okay, and last today's discussion is two simple problems. Just to understand how to implement in your problem the formulas which we have got. It's a meeting. Okay, so the first problem is on single phase full converter. So in single phase full converter, what is happening? We are allowed to deliver constant load current. So output load current is constant. For 0-degree firing angle, overlap angle is 15 degree. So if alpha is 0, your overlap angle mu is equal to 15 degree. Okay, so we'll use the formula over here. We know the single phase converter formula I naught is this equal to this one. Okay, so because we are given two firing angles over here, we have to calculate the corresponding firing overlap angle for that, and the third firing angle is given alpha. So let us classify those firing angles into your alpha 1, alpha 2 and alpha 3 and try to generalize the equation. So what we'll do is, because your alpha 1 and mu 1 is given, we'll try to generalize the equation in terms of alpha 1 and mu 1. So according to our equation, in this equation what we are getting, what we'll do is substitute the value of alpha 1 and mu 1. So this will be alpha 1, this will be mu 1. So can we write Vm by omega ls? Cos alpha 1 minus cos alpha 1 plus mu 1, which I've written it over here. Yes. And we know what is alpha 1 is 0. So this becomes 0, cos 0. And this becomes 0 plus 15 degrees. So cos 0 minus cos 15 degree. So that is 1 minus cos 15 gives you 0.03407. Now if you generalize the equation, over here, so what you will get? Cos alpha 1 minus cos alpha plus mu 1 is equal to this one. So cos alpha plus mu 1 can be calculated as this one, 0.0347. You bring 0.0347 on this side. So cos alpha 1 minus 0.0347 will give you cos alpha 1 plus mu 1. Okay. Then what you do? You substitute these values. Alpha is equal to 30 degree. So alpha 1 or alpha 2, rather it should be alpha 2 and this should be alpha 3 because alpha 1 is already taken. So alpha 2 is 30 degree. Substitute over here. So cos 30 plus mu 2, this will be mu 2, is equal to cos 30, because alpha 2 is 30. So cos 30 minus this one. So from here you can do your calculation and find out your mu 2 to be this one. Similarly, you can find out your mu3. This is typing mistake. So you can go through finding your mu3 through this formula. So it's very easy formulas. Only thing what you have to do, you have to generalize the form, then substitute your alpha and find your mu. So you are seeing that we need to understand or remember our equations. So very important for rectifier, the operation, how the waveforms are coming, and equations. And I think this is the last problem. Yes. So this is the last problem for today's discussion. So first one was discussed with your single phase full converter. Now a slightly bit different thing. We will have a three phase full converter. Okay. Instead of going by that approach, okay, whatever we are getting over here, we have direct formula over here, a slightly different formula to be used over here and solve it. But again, same thing, we have to use the what I'll say, the formulas which we have derived. So three-phase full converter bridge is connected to a supply voltage of 230 volt per phase. Frequency is given 50 hertz. Source inductance is given 4 millihenry. Load current is DC 20 ampere. Load consists of a DC source of internal EMF 400 volt with an internal resistance 1 ohm. So I can draw it like this. Right. So there is a 400 volt over here. There is a 1 ohm over here. So can I calculate the average voltage? Yes. 400 plus I into R. So DC constant current is 20. So 20 into 1, that gives you 420. So I can calculate easily my V average over here, or converter output voltage as 420, which you want to say. So V average is nothing but your 420. And we know the general formula is this one. Okay, for three phase, not single phase, remember. So for three phase, we are using the formula. If it is single phase, then okay. This problem could have been given for single phase also. You would have done the same thing. But formula should be used for single phase. Now put the values. VML is equal to root 2 VS. So root 2 into 230. So root 2 and this is line voltage. So into root 3. So root 2 into root 3 gives you your root 6. So always star connection is taken. So root 3 will be there. So 3 root 6 230 by pi cos alpha minus 3 2 pi f. Omega is 2 pi f. F is 50. LS is how much? LS is 4 millihenry. I naught is given 20. So all these values are done. Substituted over here, got that equation. Okay. We have got a firing angle, then written the equation in terms of alpha plus mu. Now, that is why I was telling this. Here I was telling something. See, these equations are written in terms of cos alpha. This equation is written in terms of alpha plus mu. So you need to know both equations. Previously also I have told you over here what I was telling you, that I have used the value of cos alpha plus mu in this equation and got in terms of cos alpha. Okay, so you could have found out what is cos alpha and substituted in this term. So your equation would have been in terms of cos alpha plus mu. That I have not written it over here. Okay, you have to remember both equations in terms of cos alpha, in terms of cos alpha plus mu, because you are noticing that in this problem which I have shown you at the last, you are needing both equations. I am writing one equation in terms of alpha, another equation in terms of mu, because if you directly use this equation and you have alpha plus alpha and mu to be unknown, you can't calculate both. So first you have to use your equation in terms of alpha, then calculate that alpha value, then put that alpha value in the cos alpha plus mu equation and get your value. So alpha plus mu from here will be calculated, this one. Alpha already calculated, so you put over here, get a mu is equal to 8.22 dB. So this is what we have discussed till now, the effect of source inductance and by which factor the actual voltage would have appeared, that would have appeared in a full converter, is being reduced. So that is very important over here. Now, if your voltage average reduces, RMS will also reduce and all things will reduce. So your performance parameters will also change. So that is the most important thing which we should understand. What is the effect of our source inductance? Okay. So today's lecture I have completed.